What are arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent? Arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent are the inverse functions of sine, cosine, and tangent. That means that whatever sine, cosine, and tangent does, arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent reverses. They are used to find the angles based on the ratios of the sides in right triangles. For an acute angle alpha in a right triangle, you have the following definitions. Alpha equals arcsine of the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. Next, alpha equals arccosine of the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. Finally, alpha equals arctangent of the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. Luckily, SOHCAHTOA is equally helpful for remembering these formulas as well. Note that the common way to write these inverse functions is arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent. Sometimes they are also written sine to the power of -1, cosine to the power of -1, and tangent to the power of -1. You will likely see this on calculators. We'll use arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent in the following videos. Let's take a closer look at how the sine, cosine, and tangent functions are related to their inverse functions, arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent. Let's start with sine and arcsine. You have that sine alpha equals the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. To find the angle, you need to solve for alpha. But how do you get rid of sine? Here's the beauty of the inverse function. Arcsine undoes what sine does. So, arcsine of sine alpha equals arcsine of the opposite over the hypotenuse. Hence, alpha equals arcsine of the opposite over the hypotenuse. So, sine and arcsine revert each other's actions. Next up, cosine and arccosine. You have that cosine alpha equals the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. Again, to find the angle you need to solve for alpha, you need to use arccosine because it undoes what cosine does. So, arccosine of cosine alpha equals arccosine of the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And so, alpha equals arccosine of the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So, cosine and arccosine revert each other's actions as well. Finally, tangent and arctangent. You have that tangent alpha equals the opposite divided by the adjacent. Again, to find the angle you need to solve for alpha, you need to use arctangent because it undoes what tangent does. So, arctangent of tangent alpha equals arctangent of the opposite over the adjacent, which gives, like the previous two cases, alpha equals arctangent of the opposite over the adjacent. So, tangent and arctangent reverts each other's actions just like the two others. Arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent are the inverse functions of sine, cosine, and tangent. That means that whatever sine, cosine, and tangent does, arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent reverses. They can be used to find angles based on the ratios of the sides in right triangles.